Hello, everybody. The football experience is back. I think we'll keep it short. There wasn't too much action from the weekend, and Caleb, we got to start with the glaring elephant in the room. Since we already covered Arsenal Southampton on Saturday morning, I guess the only game basically we're only going to be talking about the games going forward. The elephant in the room. Which one is it? Take one step. Take one step.
Are you going for the overall elephant in the room? That big white elephant in North London? Or are we going for
big white turd?
A turd, my god.
Oh man, did we say or did I say that because Tottenham had Newcastle and then the following week they had Man United, and I said they need results out of both of them. If they don't get any results, if they get at least a draw against Newcastle and then a win against United, then that I'd say that the top four race is still on. But hey, I think the top four is done and dusted. In all honesty.
What a way to start the pod. It's done. We're declared. But I'd have to agree with you. My goodness, I think we have to start smaller than that, though, don't we? We have to start on, I would say, the game, but really all you needed to see was 20 minutes. I kind of love it when a game does that, when it means I don't have to watch anything else more intently, because I'm just, you know what it reminded me of? You're going to hate me for this. But remember that season the Liverpool were challenging for the title with Suarez? And Arsenal came to Anfield that season and they were 4-0 down in 20. That's what this felt like. It felt like a decent team going to a place, but a team who had been up and down all season, of course, as Tottenham have been this season. And they were going... I kind of hate it because when I saw the team sheet, I'm like, oh, back four. I might actually watch this, There might be something to watch here. And then you see the first goal go in and it's just like, maybe this wasn't the day to try the back four. Because what it felt like was a team who were already up and down and now probably uncertain in what they're trying to do in this new system. And they're going to... is it fair to say St. James's Park would be the worst place you'd want to go to if you're a team that fits that profile right now? I can't think of many worse places in the Premier League that you would want to go than in front of those rabid Geordies and a Newcastle team who had to bounce back from a 3-0 loss the week before.
In all honesty, St. James Park seems like, even at the tail end of last season, it seems like one of the worst places to go for any team.
You know all about that from last season.
Yeah, but and we still need to go there. But
I was going to ask about that. I'm glad you brought it up.
But considering the atmosphere that they've recreated there, or brought back, or what would you say? Because you wouldn't say created, because it used to exist there, so it's recreated, right?
That period where Newcastle were good and challenging for top four under Bobby Robson was a bit before my intent watching time. But this is you knew it was there the whole time, didn't you, with Newcastle?
So the atmosphere plus the team is actually flying and playing really well. Those two combined. We need to talk about
that as well, I think.
Yeah. But man, oh man, I was in shock. And you know what it sort of reminded me of? It reminded me of Pep's Bayern a little bit. Because they sometimes used to just blow teams away in the first 10-15 minutes. And they'd already be up 3 or 4-0. Not in terms of playing style, but in terms of
I was going to ask, what's the quality that could, apart from the blow, what do you think the main... Because I guess... the physicality? Would that be the thing?
Mm.
Yeah.
And the physicality and the intensity.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if... It's weird though, because I don't think I've seen it... you've probably seen it like on occasion here and there throughout the season. But this is like if this is that next level that this Newcastle team is going on to, with Isak back in form. Not he was never necessarily out of form, but like him picking up form after his injury. And let's like the team pretty much firing all cylinders. If this is what and then like they added another 2 or 3 signings. If this is what we expect going forward, and this is like the new evolution of Newcastle, I wouldn't be surprised if they're challenging for the title next season.
Good on Newcastle. My God, we were flagging it late last season, but I didn't expect them to be this.
I didn't expect them to be this either.
I think for me, they're clearly... And look, United can have a right to be in this discussion, but I don't like their capitulations that they show you from time to time. So for me, Newcastle are clearly the third best team in the Premier League. And to think that's behind two of the best teams in Europe this season in Arsenal and Man City, that's crazy to think the level that they're at right now. Because for me, it's obvious. I think they're clearly the third best team in the league. I know United might finish above them, and United have turned things around somewhat, and they're into a cup final, which we'll probably fail to mention. But you know, I think this Newcastle team for consistency, from that physicality, intensity we talk about. They defend so well. Man, Sven Botman is a beast. He is so good. I feel so vindicated for putting him in the first team, because I was a bit iffy. I'm like, Sven Botman, really? Is he a big enough sort of name? But if he continues like this to the end of the season, he'll make that spot his own. I think he's right there with Ruben Diaz this season. Kim Min-jae will feel... I don't know. There'll be a decision. There's 3 really good candidates straight off the back. But when they've got a guy like that, and I've been thinking, and in watching football all across Europe... No, I'll save that. I'll save that a bit. Remind me to come back to the defensive point. But I think in the microcosm of this game, because I don't think we're finished... It was stunning. What happened? 5-0 in 20 minutes is just crazy. And what it felt like to me was... Football karma was just running rampant that day, because we just bigged up Newcastle. We just talked about how good Newcastle were, and obviously they suffered their worst defeat of the season last week at Villa. But for the most part, they've been clearly the third best team, and they do it in such a good way, because you think of the players who are just good. Like, do we ever expect Isak to be this good? Did you ever expect Dan Burn to be this good? Sean Longstaff? Joelinton is the one. My God, what a player he has turned into under Eddie Howe. It is unbelievable. Remember when Joelinton could not kick a ball? This is crazy. This guy is different class now.
I remember him missing. I remember him missing 1-on-1s and stuff like that as well. When he was like a left. He was playing as a left winger / forward.
A striker, yeah. He was playing as a striker when he first came from Hoffenheim, and that's Eddie Howe saw something different, and he's got it out of him. But I think in the microcosm of this game, when you watch the guy who always stands out for Newcastle, and he's the guy who's the differentiating factor between them being a good, hard-working team that will be challenging probably for Europa League, and being a team that should finish in the top 4, and we think will finish it. And it's Bruno Guimaraes. And you can contrast that to what Tottenham had in their midfield. And look, for all intents and purposes, I didn't mind what Tottenham were trying to do, but it was the wrong game to do it in. I thought they should be looking at different systems for a while now, and to go to Newcastle and try it in that game is ambitious for sure. But for the most part, and the problem is they don't have good defenders, but my argument always is, why are they ushering in an extra defender if their defenders aren't very good anyway? You might as well just play more attacking. You concede goals anyway, so let's give Harry Kane more support. But yeah, they were shell-shocked by St. James's Park, by Newcastle, by that intensity we talked about. And honestly, by Bruno Guimaraes, because Tottenham's midfield, while they played a 3, they had no one like that they have no footballers in that midfield. So that's somewhere that they're going to have to address in the summer. And you look across and you look at now Newcastle, like you say, the evolution of them and the fact that they look like they'll be a threat for that top four from here on out. They look like they should go the way of Manchester City now and be perennially a threat. And the foundation that Eddie Howe has at least started to build, we'll see next season, because playing at this intensity must be, well, Liverpool proved it this season that playing at this intensity is highly demanding, and to do it season on season is no mean feat. So maybe we need to judge in terms of that, the big picture, maybe halfway through next season. But in terms of what they've done this season, it's been fantastic. They're actually just a good team. It's not a novelty. It's not a like, I don't want to disparage it, but I think in most other leagues, Germany, they would easily be. They might even be in the title race in Germany, and we'll talk about that. I think Italy, no, Napoli's, but they would be in that race for second, and they probably. I don't know. Lazio have been really good, but they lost on the weekend. But they've been really good this season. It'll be a tussle. They'd be in that mix, and no, they might be a little bit further. Just the way they defend, their defensive record is crazy in the most competitive league in the world. And man, I just love Newcastle. So they got their football karma. They got their big moment this season, the one that should see them through the top four. And Tottenham got a bit of. They didn't deserve it in this game for me because they actually tried to change things, but they had it coming for a long time this season.
I just brought up on my phone when we, you know how we did the one signing or the two signings. I didn't have Newcastle on my list of teams, so I'm not sure if you did either. Like, I don't know if we covered.
I think a signing. I touted Sergio Canales or sort of a player or a Koopman as someone in that midfield for Joe Willock, but I don't know. Like, I just thought of something. I don't know, because like,
what about someone? I know Rice keeps getting thrown around, but I think he's also rumoured with Newcastle. But then him and Guimaraes to just lock down that midfield. But we're also thinking a left back perhaps as well.
Dan Burns has been really good. I touted Reynaldo as the left back they could get, but he did his ACL, so I don't know. Yeah, man. What is Newcastle's? Yeah,
but
I don't know.
But you know what? You know what helps their case? The fact that they're going to finish in a Champions League spot, and they have all this money. Whereas if they finished in a sixth for the Europa League, and then had all this money, it's like, well, yeah, you can attract some pretty good players, but now you're finishing in the Champions League, you can go out and get like Rafael Leao or something like that. Like. But like you know, they can go out and get Theo Hernandez. They can pretty much go and get anyone, not just because they can realistically.
I'll push back on that. I don't think they can get those two players.
I think they can realistically go and get anyone. And here's my just my initial thought process off the cuff is like, if they finish Europa League, okay, yes, they have the money to go and get anyone. But for instance, if they wanted to go get Theo Hernandez, they'd have to go pay like 20-30 million more probably for the transfer fee, and they'd have to pay more in wages. Now they have the Champions League, so they don't have to pay more in wages just to attract him, and they can be like, well, look, we finished third this season or fourth. This is our form. You've clearly seen us play. We just need one or two more signings and we can challenge for the league. So this is what we're offering you, and we're offering you Champions League as well. So realistically, they have a lot to offer now, whereas before it's like, here's some money. They can offer titles now.
I agree. I like your suggestions. I don't think they're too realistic, I must say. I don't think...
They are from a certain perspective. They are from the perspective that I'm saying. Like,
I get...
My main point is that they can offer more than money now. That's my main point.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They come from a position of power if they're getting into the Champions League of that alone. But there's other clubs in the Champions League who I think Theo Hernandez and Rafael Leao would be going to.
Yeah, 100%.
For me, the key factor is... A, the prestige a bit of those clubs, but B, the managers at the other clubs. I don't know if these guys know who Eddie Howe is. I'm just going to say. So, I don't know if you're getting that caliber. I don't know if you're getting the caliber I'm thinking of, but the dream. I'm guessing you could guess who the dream for Newcastle would be. He's like my favourite player this season. The big guy up front. Put the mask on.
Osimhen.
Put the mask on. Victor Osimhen. Oh,
You
he's
know
so
what though?
good for
I
them.
think. See, here's the thing though. I think in terms of numbers, they're a little bit stacked up front. They have a little bit too many people up in the forward areas.
Alexander
They're
Isak is becoming a better striker than I thought he could be.
exactly. And then like Wilson will then fall to a backup if Isak keeps up this form. Saint Maximin, if he can start to develop his like that final finish in terms of crossing and shooting. Then they have Almiron in there as well. Joe Wellington comes in and out. He drifts in and out of those forward areas. I think that if they can offer Gamera's a midfield partner, that I think that should be their priority. Getting him a midfield partner.
I like it, but my counter is Victor Osimhen. And that is all. When you have that guy,
You know that Friends meme
yeah.
where it's like who's the blonde chick? I never watched Friends, so
Phoebe.
Phoebe, where she's like saying something and then that guy's like repeating it, and then like the final one is like he says something completely different. So it's like I'm telling you, like that they need a left back, they need a midfielder, and then you're just like Victor Osimhen.
Victor Osimhen.
Look,
Honestly, I just think for the atmosphere around that whole club, and look, I hope this doesn't happen. I hope Osimhen stays at Napoli because what they built there is really so far. But man, for the atmosphere, he feeds off that. He's so good with like the thing that just differentiates Victor Osimhen for me from a lot of other players is the way he resonates with the fans. He's always first one over there. He just understands what it means to play for the club and represent these people. And I think that's a really admirable trait for a professional, especially one who's as damn good as Victor Osimhen is. So, like I just think if you can get that guy, I don't know if they can ultimately get that guy, but I get what you're saying. The legitimacy of the Champions League. I think the manager will hold them back from those top.
But it's
honestly,
Eduardo Suarez. It's not Eddie Howe. It's Eduardo Suarez. He should realistically change his name.
No, he's all right. He'll get his reputation. But honestly, I think the tactic so far, and it might have to change a bit because of the extra football, but has been keep this group of the same sort of stature. We're not bringing in anyone who is above it all. The guy we brought in on high wages is Kieran Trippier, but he understood from the moment he got there the professionalism and the leadership and the kind of way he needed to represent sort of what the club would be going forward, and he needs massive credit for what's happened here because I think since he's come from Atletico, he's been unbelievable. Like the football's been really good, but the intangibles I think have been even better. And yeah, I think that's what's got them here, and I don't think Eddie Howe's going to go away from it. I don't think he's the name that can attract those other guys, but.
Ooh.
For example, if it was a Victor Osimhen for character reasons, from what I see, I think that could work.
I got a name for you.
Yeah, go on.
Calvin Phillips.
And Rice would work as well.
Calvin Phillips.
Sorry.
Calvin Phillips. He's out of favour with Pep. I reckon they could pick him up. But would City want to sell to now what is a direct rival? If they finish 6th or 8th, they'd be like, yeah, okay, we'll offload him. But now, if they're going to finish 3rd... But he would be a very good pickup. It would be it would be similar to a Trippier redemption story because didn't Trippier sort of fall out of favour at Atletico?
Yeah, he was sort of not a regular by there. I don't mind the shout. You're getting him. It goes to that reputation thing. I don't think he'd come in, but I worry about him in terms of why hasn't it worked at Manchester City? Why is Pep blasting him for being overweight? And like, why City have access to all of that stuff? Why are you overweight?
Yeah, that's the question. Why are you overweight?
And you can't be overweight at Newcastle. Newcastle players demanding a style of football as Manchester City. So, no doubt the talent is there, and no doubt in those big games where teams like Manchester City might try to exploit them in the centre of midfield because, like we saw against Villa last week, they're so open. I think an option like that is good, and I think it's I think the Rice one is probably a better shout. I think if you
just
can
because
try
he
and get
just
him
because he's in
because
form. But like if the whole redemption story for Phillips and the fact that you can pick him up cheap, and if you can offer him if
yeah,
Eddie
it would
Howe
depend on price.
and considering that Eddie Howe has gotten like he's turned around Joe Ellington's career, he's turned around Almiron as well, who like both of them we thought were flops. Isak is now starting to show some real form. Whereas I think was he at Villarreal? He scored like I think his stats were like 6 goals in like 30 games or something like that. Like it was something. Yeah. It was like
he looked a good player at Sociedad, but he didn't look a goal scorer.
Yeah, so
and I still don't know if he's a goal scorer, but
Yeah.
I think he's looking better at doing that. He's looking hungrier to do that for sure.
And the thing is, like, Pep has turned more into a manager. He's gone away from the coach role that he started out at to now being more of a manager. Whereas Eddie Howe's still a coach, it seems. So he has the potential to turn around Phillips' career. But then it's obviously down to Phillips. Like, does he want to redeem himself and have a comeback story?
Yeah, you need your scouting networks.
But I honestly reckon that should be their number one target, or number two if you can't get Rice.
Yeah, and in terms of what will actually happen, I honestly don't know because I haven't really sussed out Newcastle's transfer policy under the new regime. It's obviously fantastic because it's bringing in the right players in the right areas at the right prices. Like Sven Botman kind of went under the radar.
Everyone's questioning it. They're like, who the hell is this guy?
And you get him, I think, 30, 35 or something?
Yeah.
So, Nick Pope, that wasn't really heralded. What a signing he's been. Even, like, the Trippier one was a bit heralded. You're getting someone from Atletico. We know about it. Needing England international as well, but... Did
Trippier play in that Champions League final? Was he there, or did he leave before that?
That's a good question.
I think he might have played in that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'll look it up while you take the reins.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. In terms of what will actually happen, I can't predict it because, at least for the most part, we haven't seen this Newcastle. We haven't even heard them go after a really big name signing. So it'll be interesting to see what they do, given that we think they'll have Champions League football. I'm fascinated to see the strategy, but for the here and now, I think maybe at some point we should do our rankings of the best teams in Europe.
Again,
we think overall
we did a mid-season one. You were hesitant. You were a bit hesitant to put Newcastle in there at that time. I remember.
Was I? I feel like I've loved Newcastle this whole season.
You were a little bit. You were questioning it because I wanted to put them above United, and you were questioning that.
Well, that was the sticking point. That was the question.
Well.
Now I've got to. Well, look. I guess United are out of the Europa League, but they can still win the FA Cup. They've won the League Cup, and they can still finish above Newcastle.
Yeah, but Newcastle still play better football.
I agree with that. I think they consistently play a better style of football. But in saying that, United, they have Rashford this season. I'm interested to see what happens with Rashford next season, if he can sustain this and be on this level. But I think the point that sort of leads me into Europe, and it was the one that I wanted to come back to.
Trippier did play in that final, by the way.
He did, yeah. It did feel right. But the point is that it's on Sven Botman, it's on Nick Pope. Even Fabian Schär's been really good. Guimaraes is, I guess to your point, maybe they want to beef it up there, but they're built on the defence, and they're built on a defensive piece like Sven Botman. If he continues to be this kind of guy, that physical guy, there was a burst of speed that he showed in the first half, where he got back and tracked back and just made mincemeat out of, I think it was Son. I think he actually just brushed Son off a 10-yard head start to Son. So to do that is something crazy about. And it just made me think who around Europe, the really good teams, the teams that I trust, are built on a piece like that. And I think Arsenal, William Saliba. It's just like they're built on this guy. This guy's awesome. When I think Barca, Ronald Araujo. When I think Manchester City, Ruben Diaz. When I think Napoli, Kim Min Jae. And these are the teams that I think are some of the more trustworthy teams around Europe. And it's because they have that defensive. Oh, what piece on the chessboard would they be? They're not quite the queen, but they're just so solid. The castles or something. But if you've got a piece like that, you're so. I think that chess analogy just it ran on. It was a bad one. Forget that. But maybe they are the queen on the chessboard. Actually, I think they're that important. These pieces. Would you build your team around that piece, or would you build your team? Which kind of player is better, the Rafael Leao, the Victor Osimhen, the Harry Kane, or that defensive piece at the back that makes you consistently reliable? I think.
Well, the best example put forward is the last three games of Arsenal. We're missing Saliba. We're up 2-0, but we don't have that protective piece to just solidify everything. And I know that Rob Holding wasn't I don't think he was at fault for any of the goals. Really.
I agree. Which is weird because I wanted to go to if they had William Saliba, but it just never happened.
That's the thing. Like
intangible thing.
Yeah, and it's that intangible thing that maybe if Saliba was there, Partey would be playing a little bit higher. Ben White would be playing a little bit higher. So like it maybe would in the back of their minds that subconscious feeling of we're more solid at the back, so I can be a little bit more advanced. That's missing now. So yeah, maybe you're onto something in regards to the Queen thing.
Yeah, there's two. And there's two other examples as well. It's this game itself, the Newcastle Tottenham game from the weekend, because if you think Tottenham have Harry Kane on the pitch, he is one of the world's best attackers, and he's on the pitch. But if you don't have the other guy, if you have Sergio Romero and if you have Christian Romero, Sergio's the goalkeeper, and Eric Dyer as your centre backs, like what are you doing? And this kind of thing can happen because you're not. There's nothing reliable. You're soft. If you have the other piece, and the other example I was going to use was Virgil van Dijk last season, and Liverpool now with the out of form Virgil van Dijk, how poor and how soft they are when they try and play in this way. I don't know, I'm starting to think that the piece at the other end, the centre back, you always think it's the talent piece. It's the one that can sort of worry the opposition without having to kick a ball because they know, damn, we got to be scared about Rafael Leao, we got to be scared about Kvaratskhelia. And obviously that piece is super important, but I always rated that, and maybe I still do, but the more and more I watch it, it's just like, the teams that I trust have that guy at the back, and he also, the key characteristic of all those guys, maybe Ruben Diaz lacks a little bit in this, but is the physicality. These guys cannot be beaten one-on-one. Those guys are absolute beasts in any one-on-one duel. So it just allows everyone to have confidence knowing we can leave it the striker one-on-one against this guy and we'll all push up forward. So, yeah, I don't know. In this modern way of playing, in the more proactive way of playing, the era that we're seeing now, and I believe eventually it will go back the other way because it always does. But what we're seeing right now, and I think Liverpool is the best example from last season, is how crucial that piece at the back is to playing the style that we see today, I think.
Yeah, I think, well, it goes down to that age-old analogy. Defense wins you championships.
It feels that way. And while we're on the topic of defending, we got to talk, and we'll go across Europe now.
Yeah.
But we got to talk about...
Let's give you your corner.
Yeah, well, unfortunately you didn't watch this game, but you should have. Because Napoli-Juve was maybe the best game of the season, and I didn't think it had any chance of being that way going into the game. But Juve going back into third place by getting their 15 points back, has absolutely, like, as if we needed more drama to the Italian top four race and just the Serie A in general. We get this extra bit of drama where Juve are back in the top four. Both Milan clubs are knocked out. So now they're playing a Champions League semi-final that might be for them getting into the competition. Although Milan had, you know how Rome have won the last 2 weeks in terms of Lazio and Roma. They lost big time over the weekend, and Milan were the big winners because Inter finally dispatched the team with Romelu Lukaku finally scoring goals. He scored 2 of them in this game, and that could be a very positive sign for Inter down the stretch. Because if they could get him scoring goals down the stretch and get him and Lautaro working together,
Potentially a positive sign for Chelsea as well.
Chelsea, yes, good point.
Yeah.
But if they do get him, they could carry them into the top four. Milan, Pioli, he finally cottoned on to it. I've been saying, and maybe he was in a position that he couldn't quite do this. But I always say, if Milan have to rest any of their key players, I don't fancy them in a game. If Mike Mignon's not there, if Theo Hernandez isn't there, if Rafael Leao, if Sandro Tonali, if any of those players are not in the team, I'm like, actually, I would throw Brahim Diaz into that mix now as well. If any of those players are not in the team, I'm just like, I don't quite trust this today. But if all of those play, then they'll win. And they were pretty comfortable against Lecce at home, who obviously, probably Lecce were my big alarm bells when they started playing badly in the middle of the season, that when they went away and drew 2-2 there. But yeah, they put to bed some demons in this game and they were comfortable. So Milan, both their teams win. Roma lose this morning against Atalanta. Maybe lose Dybala. Had a few other injuries in the game as well. It was a really wretched morning for Roma when you think that for the Rome clubs, they were so comfortable a week ago. Juve were down there. We're on top of the Milan clubs by a fair bit. I think Roma were, 5 points clear. Lazio were 10 points clear of 5th place. And then Juve get pushed up. And it's just like, all of a sudden, Lazio lose against Torino on the Friday night. My boy Ivan Provedel, terrible mistake in the game. And finally, one of those games where they're so solid. Another team who are so solid defensively, Lazio, they might be... On current form, they were one of my favourite teams to watch, and they'd be high on that list of teams who have been my favourite. It's this.
Hang on, I'm sort of losing you. The internet.
It's a Maurizio Sarri team. It's always so nice.
Hang on. No. The internet hasn't been that great. I don't know. It's sort of breaking up and coming back in and out here and there.
Oh yeah, I'm down to 1 red bar.
Oh no, 1 red bar.
Alright, have you got me?
Yeah, I've got you.
Yeah. Who was I talking about?
Lazio, Maurizio Sarri.
Yeah, no, Maurizio Sarri team. Always so nice to watch. They always compact the space so well, organise the chaos of the game. So incisive. They play in such tight spaces. It's crazy, but... Alas, it wasn't their weekend. They lost to Torino. Provedel, bad mistake. And all of a sudden, they were 10 points clear. Then, after that loss, they found themselves, and after Milan's win, only 5 points clear of 5th place. All of a sudden, they're in jeopardy. If Juve end up winning, and we'll get back to... I know I started on Napoli-Juve, and we'll get back to it. But if Juve end up winning, they'll lose 2nd place as well, which ultimately didn't happen. But yeah, Rome, the city of Rome, those 2 clubs, really big losers on the weekend. Milan right back in this thing. But it all of the drama, and maybe Atalanta with that win aren't exactly out of it yet, at least Europa League. But it all came to, as the Italians love to, the dramatic finale at the end of the weekend. I know Roma Atalanta was Monday night, but on the Sunday night, Napoli... travelling to Juve. And it was a game I didn't think... It was Napoli's last big game of the season, and I think you could feel it. And I think you could feel how bad they wanted to win in Turin. And I think you could feel how bad Juve wanted to exact some revenge on what happened when they went to the Maradona. So... I think with all of that thrown into the mix, and then what happened in the game, which, while we're talking about defenders and good defensive teams, man, in this game, two of the best defensive performances I think I've seen all season for opposite sides in Danilo and Kim Min Jae. I thought they were absolute monsters. I thought this game was destined to finish 0-0, especially given that Victor Osimhen isn't quite there. He had a 15-minute cameo in the second half where you could see glimpses of the Victor Osimhen who had been killing it this season. But for the rest of the game, he was well marshalled. Bremer wasn't even in the team, but he was marshalled by, I think, Gatti and Rugani. And, he was just kept at bay. Those contributed factors with the great defending, I thought it was just destined for a 0-0. But then Di Maria appeared to score late on in the game, and it looked like it was going to be the winner, only for VAR to rule it out because of a foul on Lobotka. A 50-50 call. I would have been fine if the goal stood. And then in the last minute, the jack in the box, Raspadori, comes off the bench, scores with a volley through Szczesny's legs, and Napoli finally win in Turin. They seal the league title. It could be as early as next weekend. Because Lazio have to play Inter, which is a massive game this weekend. And if Inter do Napoli a favour, they could win the title this weekend. But this was the moment. This was their exclamation mark. This was football karma again, because Napoli deserved this night. It wasn't the night that they wanted. If they could have picked a night, it would have been in midweek against Milan. But they still got a pretty memorable night in winning in Turin, I think for the first time in ages. And all but sealing the league title. And it was just a game of such high drama. And it was the best 1-0 I think I've ever seen. It was such a good game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that sums up Italy, and I think that's the right place to start in terms of what's going on there. You have anything to say on the Italian predicament?
Yeah, just that Juve 15 points it threw a spanner in the works mid-season. Now it's thrown another spanner in the works by giving it back.
Crazy.
Man, Italian football. Italian football. The politics of it all.
Okay, so I'll give you options for the next ones. I couldn't help myself. I had to start in Italy, but I'll give you some options for the next one. I don't think there's anything to say in France. I'll get that out of the way. I thought, actually, there was something to say, and I didn't put this. All right, so I'll give you that as an option because there was something there. You've got top 4 race in Spain. I don't think we do. Or you've got Atletico Barca. Is that getting you interested? Really, I don't really think so. Maybe. You've got title race in Germany. Now that is fascinating. Do you know the results from there?
No, I haven't seen the results. I'll bring them up now.
You need to go and look at the results on that one. We've got race for top 3 in France. A game between direct rivals, 3rd and 4th, in Lens against Monaco. Oh, he's just seen the Bundesliga results. Old mate Tommy Tuchel.
Just start. Just go there. Just go there.
Just go.
Just go there.
What is happening there? Wow.
This is
in this game.
Is this the football gods enacting karma?
Oh, thank you. You took the words out of my mouth. But this one, okay, we'll start with Bayern. So, how long's Thomas Tuchel been at Bayern now?
A month and a half.
A month or so?
Month and a half.
A month and a half, maybe? Yeah, crazy. You know what his grand solution was to being knocked out of the Pokal and thrown out of the Champions League? To play a 3-1-6. Just like his predecessor, Julian Nagelsmann, did. So after all this time, after all this evaluation, this is what you've come up with. Exactly the same thing as your predecessor did. I'm not blaming him for it, because maybe it is the way to play, and I'm not the bigger picture point. Did you notice how when I was rattling off all those teams that I love watching this season, and all the players that I think those teams are built on, did you notice how I didn't mention one Bayern Munich player in there? Not one Bayern Munich centre-back. Not one defensive piece who stabilizes and allows you to play in a way that you want to play in. Not one. Now, like I keep saying, I don't rule out Matthias de Ligt for a big jump next season because I think the promise he showed at Ajax in particular, hopefully the lessons he learned in Juve with working with Chiellini, Bonucci, players like that, and he's still young and he's still acclimatizing to a new club. So I'm not gonna put him in the dirt. I'm also not gonna lose full hope in Upamecano because if De Ligt takes the next step forward, then Upamecano can be, I think, a better player than definitely what he's been this season because I see glimpses of a good centre back, but I also see glimpses of a soft centre back, and that cannot happen. I don't think De Ligt has really taken the leads and demanded enough out of him yet. We'll see if that happens next season. It needs, but the big point is, it needs to happen for Bayern because for Bayern Munich to not have a dependable player who they can trust back there, I think is somewhat criminal and negligent. You can't do that as a club like Bayern Munich. You can't let, and I pulled it out, a couple of pods ago. They've never replaced Jerome Boateng in terms of centre back, and I know it's accentuated by the fact that Manuel Neuer is no longer in the goals for this season. But that is an issue and a drama in of itself. The way he got injured, but to not have that stabilizing piece in the heart of your defense, and did they expect De Ligt to be that guy already? Or look, and this is the thing, and maybe this is another thing that leads into: is this actually a longer term plan with Tuchel? I still can't get past. I don't think it is with Tuchel because Tuchel's not a long-term manager, and it just made so much more sense with Nagelsmann, and that's the whole football and karma point, of course. And I think it's it's also putting some egg on my face at the moment because I'm sweating over here after I declared that Dortmund could not win the title this season after their result against Bayern. by declaration, I said that, and that one might come back on me. But if it does, honestly, I'd be more happy for that story because, yeah, I think Bayern are getting what they deserve in some weird, not just the thing that happened with Nagelsmann and Tuchel coming in, but the whole squad building, the whole squad planning, and the way that the Mane thing has fizzled out, and he's never been a replacement for Lewandowski, and yeah, no, I just they could legitimately lose the title here in Germany.
Wasn't Tuchel's first game that Dortmund won as well? So like it started off amazingly, and then
it's the only good moment he's had. He also beat Freiburg in the league, but that Dortmund game's the peak.
Yeah.
And there's been some big high profile losses since then.
And I saw some stat. I think it took Nagelsmann 30 games to lose 3 times with Bayern, whereas it took Tuchel 7 games to lose 3 times with Bayern. So
yeah, I think we're at a point, and I think because of what I've seen, we can not blame the defense. That's not his fault that he doesn't have a guy he can trust back there. But in terms of what I've seen tactically, in terms of just going back to what, like, do you think you're a genius for going to the 3-1-6? Nagelsmann did it all season, and it kind of makes me believe that he didn't really watch enough football when he was not... Like, that's pure speculation. Maybe he did, but for the game plan he came up with against City in the first leg, and for what he's tried to do with this Bayern Munich team, and continue to rely on Upamecano, when I think you and I could see it quite clearly that in the biggest games, I don't really want to trust that guy. I know maybe my options aren't great, but
what are the options?
Yeah, that's a tricky. Well, that's the problem he has. But in terms of tactically, I haven't been too impressed. I haven't seen anything great. Alphonso Davies also looked like he did his hammies, so he'll be out for a bit. At least Mane started this game, and Mane scored. I think Mane needs to play because I think when he plays well. Would you agree that he's a cut above the rest when he plays well consistently?
I'd say
Sane
so.
has the ability to be as good as Mane on his day, but I think week in, week out, I'd be more trusting in Mane. So, but Dortmund, man, they were really good because they smashed. Who did they smash on the? If you got the fixtures up, why am I blanking on this?
I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up.
Yeah, bring it up for me.
Frankfurt.
But there was, of course, they did because I watched this game at Frankfurt. Let's start. Let's just put in an underlying. Let's everything I say from this point on is built on this statement. Frankfurt were fucking hopeless. They were terrible in this game. And my boy Randall Koulibaly needs to get the hell out of there because they were limp, they were lifeless. They weren't out of the race, at least for Europe. They were probably out of the race for top 4, but after this, my God, they don't deserve to be in Europe. The way they've capitulated at the end of the season, I thought they were a team who should have been making a run and challenging for top 4 by this stage of the season, but they went completely the other way after going out. Well, it probably started during going out to Napoli in the Champions League. But yeah, they've been super disappointing. But I will say, in this game, Dortmund were pretty good. They had Schlotterbeck back. They had Sula come off the bench. I do like Nicholas Sula. I think he's been a little bit in and out recently, but I think he's better than anything Bayern have right now. I think Delit's potential is higher than that, but at the moment, I trust Nicholas Sula. I'm going to say it, as I always say about Manchester City and Zinchenko. Bayern Munich let that guy go there, and he could come back and bite them on the arse. But yeah, I thought they were solid. I thought the Brandt Bellingham partnership looked really good. Jude Bellingham scored a really nice goal to open the scoring off the assist from Brandt, and they're two players who have been really reliable for Dortmund. Probably definitely two of their top attacking players, their best player as well in Bellingham. But Julian Brandt's sort of evolution to the player he is now, and the fact that they were working together as two central midfielders, I really liked. And then I talked about these sort of geothermal pools that Dortmund have in terms of their attacking talent. Well, right now they have Karim Adeyemi, who's looking really lively after coming. He looks back to full fitness after the injury he got about mid-season, and Daniel Marlin is now a really good a really good winger apparently, and even they I think linked for 2 goals as well. So Dortmund, this was probably I still never liked them in the holding midfield position. I had to watch lots of Emre Can as a Liverpool supporter, and he's not a guy I trust. He's a good squad player, can play multiple positions, so fine in the squad, but I think they need an upgrade for him. But who cares? Because we're not looking at the summer right now in Germany for once. We are looking at an actual bona fide title race, and one with only I think 5 games left.
Yeah, 5 games.
That we're actually close enough for Dortmund to believe that they can win it.
Well, it's definitely in their hands. And let me just bring up.
It is.
I want to see their fixtures. What teams they have left. So they got Bochum next. Wolfsburg, Mönchengladbach, Augsburg, Mainz, and then they got a friendly against Man United.
That is not the most difficult 15 points to pick up.
Mm-hmm.
I don't quite trust Dortmund to, but I think Bayern have much harder fixtures in the running. I think they have Leipzig on the second last day. Was there one other top 4 contender that they were playing? That might be it.
Nah, just
Leipzig.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leipzig. I don't know about. They lost. Well, should we stay in Germany and do the top 4 race? Yeah, we'll round out the top 4 race because we got a title race. That's the big news. We got a title race that Dortmund are actually in front and we are very close to the finish line. So, very interesting there. The football gods wreaking their havoc, and below them we have Union Berlin in 4th and Freiburg are up to 3rd now.
I think so.
I think. Yeah, I
No,
think it
fourth,
might be
fourth.
time.
You,
Union won on the weekend, so
yeah,
they
they're
stay in
still
third,
third.
which would carry on their consistent two-spot progression that they've done in the last 3 seasons from seventh to fifth. Now, if they could get into third, then they'll win the title next season. So watch that one for Union. But yeah, we've got the two teams that probably supporters of German clubs doing well in the Champions League might not necessarily want. But I mean, Freiburg, again, Schalke, very poor in this game. Freiburg just blew them away. They just outran them. They out-intense them. They killed them. They don't have anything stunning in the team, Freiburg, and that's why I don't love watching them. I don't think they have anything really great, but what they do have, they all work so hard together. And you could probably say the same for Union Berlin. I think maybe in Becker up front, they have a little bit more quality, but not that much. But these two teams are on the brink of qualifying for the Champions League and being the German representatives because Leipzig maybe gave Leverkusen something to think about and going for top four because Leverkusen were able to beat Leipzig 2-0. Unbelievably, this was a game that I could not watch. I couldn't find it online. It wasn't on my streaming service. I can't believe that the Bundesliga are putting that game out internationally. That was the game that I probably wanted to see the most this weekend. And oh well, but I'm happy with the result because I think Leverkusen under Xabi Alonso would be maybe a team in the mix with Bayern and Dortmund if they had him from the start of the season and they had this form from the start of the season. I definitely think quality-wise, well, quality mixed with motivation because Leipzig have a fair bit of quality in their team too, but maybe the motivation isn't quite there right now. But in terms of Musa Diaby, in terms of Florian Wirtz, in terms of Andrich, I don't know. I really like. I'm probably missing. Oh, and Frimpong, I like a right wing back. The defenders are solid enough. Well, they're getting solid enough. They weren't that way. Even early Xabi Alonso, they were still a little bit soft back then, but they've tightened it up. They're riding a wave. I hope they can push this thing really far. But I must take my. It might be time to take the fraud out of Freiburg because they did look quite good. I know it was Schalke, but they did look quite good. And if they do finish top four, it will be deserved because they would have been able to sustain this for a season, and that's no mean feat. So I don't want to disparage them, but hey, if Leverkusen are in this mix, I'm very excited to see how this thing finishes out as well. Because yeah, two races in Germany, which might put some attention on the Bundesliga for the end of the season.
Well, hang on. So 5 games left. They're 6 points off fourth at the moment. Leverkusen
A lot of them
have.
play each other as well.
Yeah, so Leverkusen
Freiburg, I
have.
think, play Union and Leipzig.
Leverkusen have Union.
Yes, yeah, that's the one.
And
It's so hard to keep up with doing the
I
cross
think
match
I
of
think I think
the
that's
fixtures left.
1, 2, 3. From the top four, they only have Union. They don't have
Yeah, that's the only team they
Freiburg.
can get a 6-pointer on.
Yeah.
But there's a couple because I think Leipzig have two against. They might play Freiburg and Union, so they'll have to take points off each other. And then I think maybe Freiburg and Union also play each other. So in terms of Leverkusen, if they could run the slate, which will be hard given that they're in the Europa League semi-finals and squad depth will be pushed to its brink, and we'll see what Leverkusen and what Xabi Alonso prioritises in terms of how he wants to try and qualify for the Champions League next season. But considering that those teams above them have to take points off each other along the way, then well, they're not out of this thing. This was last chance saloon, and they are staying in the bar, and they might want to make themselves heard. So, yeah, interesting one there.
Yeah, so Freiburg have
So I gave you the
Leipzig.
options:
Hang on,
top
hang
four
on.
races.
I'm just checking
Yeah,
Freiburg. So
yeah, go.
They have Leipzig from the top 5 or top 6.
which
They have
means
Union
what,
as
Union?
well.
Yeah, you do have Union as well. There you
Yeah.
go.
Then they have Wolfsburg as well.
Yeah,
They have some pretty tough games coming up.
I know, man. There's some big
Oh,
six pointers at
and then they
Leverkusen.
got Frankfurt on the final day. They have some really tough games.
No, no. We've taken the fraud out of Freiburg and we put it into Frankfurt. Frank fraud.
I don't know, but the
I hate
thing,
to do it to my boy Randall, but
yeah,
oh
but
my goodness.
they can still be a dangerous team. But
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. With that guy up front, they can
out of
do it.
those teams, it looks like Freiburg have the hardest games.
Man, watch this space. Leverkusen are quite out of it, but they need to be near perfect. But they've got a chance to do that, I think. Now the other options were, I mean, so you had Barcelona, Atletico, you had race for top four in Spain, and then you had race for top three in France. You want to finish on Spain and do the Lens Monaco game?
Take us wherever you want to take us.
Okay, we'll do France and then we'll finish on Spain. This and I failed to do it in the preview, which was my fault. But this was a game between third and fourth in Ligue 1 with, I think, only a couple of points separating after Lens lost to PSG the week before. So Monaco were in with a really good shout of getting themselves into the top three. Um, but honestly, Lens this whole season have definitely deserved to be in the top three. I'm not disparaging Monaco, although Monaco were pretty wretched on the night. They didn't touch the game for the first 60 minutes. They were nowhere to be seen in this game, and Lens just blew the doors off because I talked about the way Freiburg sort of outran and outfought and out intense Schalke. Lens do the same to most teams as well. Their intensity is fantastic, and they have players who I think are really good. I think they have more quality than Freiburg do throughout the team. When I look at, I think Facundo Medina as the left centre back, who I'm interested to see if he can develop and be one of a two, but he has been fantastic as a left centre back. Kevin Danso, who was formerly of Southampton, has been really good as the central centre back. Uh, who else? I think who am I leaving my most praise to last? Ooh, I'll leave my to the big fella. So Lewis Penda as the striker. He's a striker who is on the up. I think a lot of teams should look at him. He's in the Kolo Muani sort of mold for me in terms of a striker who can play across the whole line, who can do defensive work across the whole front line, who gives you that versatility, but who is also showing that he can get his goals and get his goal contributions and affecting the game in that way. And I think this is kind of a new breed of strikers we're maybe seeing. And yeah, he looks like a really good one of that breed. But the most praise I've got to give to is for the main man, the captain, Seiko Fofana in that midfield. He looks like the best player at an under 15s match in most games in terms of he's the best physical midfielder to put in there, and the coach just lets him run the whole midfield by himself. He just goes out and does whatever he thinks he needs to do in the center of that midfield because he is absolutely everywhere. He's popping up further forward. He hits the crossbar. His finishing needs to improve. He's not a technical player, I will say that, but the effort he puts in for the team, the ability to be everywhere, the ability to hold up the ball, the ability to ride challenges, the ability to sometimes try things and get past players and take on players, but then also never shy away from his defensive work with all that physicality. He's maybe a poor man's Yaya Toure, which I say with the most respect because to be compared to Yaya Toure is a pretty good one. Uh, and yeah, he is really good in there. He's a little bit old. I think he's 28. So I don't know if big clubs will be in for him, but honestly, I think the Liverpool midfield can really do with a guy like this. And I think he'd take to it like a duck to water in the Premier League. The only question is, do Liverpool really want to go that strategy and get another old midfielder? I think the fans might be a bit annoyed about that one, but this guy's a beast. Lens are, for me, not as the table would suggest, because Marseille were able to win. With I'm burying the lead here. Marseille were able to beat Olympique Lyonnais in the Olympico, the battle of the two Olympic clubs, away at Lyon, with the absolute last kick of the game, but the kick was a Lyon kick, and it was an own goal, and they lost in the dying moments of that game 2-1. A pretty, I don't know, a game that probably deserved to finish as a draw, in all honesty, because Marseille is such a team built on their intensity, and when they're away from the velodrome, they can lack in that a bit, and I thought this game showed that, but it also showed that Lyon aren't a very good team themselves, and that's why they're languishing where they are. So, but they were able to come away. They were able to stay second. I think that lies a little bit, but not too much, because Marseille have a couple good players. Alexis Sanchez is still so good, man. I'm so happy for this Indian summer to Alexis Sanchez's career, because at his peak he was such a good player, and to watch him sort of roll back the years and play very well for this Marseille team who was second is really good to watch. But I think Lens, for me, the second best team in France. But they've opened up, I think, a 5-point gap on Monaco now. So, look, there's no reason they shouldn't finish in the top three, and there's no reason that they shouldn't be a Champions League side, or at least in the playoffs next season. I hope they get second. I hope they automatically qualify, because as we saw this season, Monaco weren't able to make it to the competition proper. That playoff system is a gauntlet. Monaco had to play. I think they had to play. It was PSV, and if they won that, they would have had to play Rangers, who Rangers did beat PSV. So you want to try and avoid that if possible. I think they deserve to. I hope they do, but really big win for them. And yeah, it looks like that will be the top three, but yeah, there's still a question of what order in terms of second and third. But PSG, they win again. They're gonna beat everyone on the way home. I think they're just too good for this cannon fodder. There's no real decent teams left for them to play. So I expect them to run the slate and obviously walk to another league title.
You know that they're actually going to be dropping down to 18 teams next year as well. So there's 4 teams being relegated.
Right. Ooh, yeah. So if you're into the French relegation battle,
Well,
that one's
like Auxerre is on 33, and then there's three teams on 32 points. But it looks like
it's a good one.
Troyes and is it Ajaccio and Angers, they're all going to get eliminated because they're on 22, 22, 14. So
yeah.
So it's a battle for that
yeah,
17th spot. How cut must you be that like look at that. It's 22, 22, 14, and then it's 32. So 17th Brest on 32 points, and they're potentially going to get relegated just because this year they chose to go down to 18 teams instead of staying with 20. So they have to eliminate an extra team.
To be fair, the French top league never should have had 20 teams in it. That's too many for France. If Germany went down, I think France can do it as well. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, that would be interesting if you're a fan of that. I for one probably won't be watching that too intently. But yeah, we'll finish on Spain before we do a little preview to wrap the pod. And man, really, really big win for Sociedad in the race for top 4 against Rayo. They were 1-0 down in this game. Rayo, who are always a tough out, really hard team to beat. They shot themselves in the foot with a terrible mistake from the centre back, and Issy was able to capitalise with a really nice finish. But Sociedad showed really good sort of application, and a really important application to come back and win this game 2-1. Sorloth finally scoring. And then who scored the other goal? But it blanks me because... Anyway, but this win was so important because Betis go and lose away at Osasuna. They look like a team. Betis look like a team who Pellegrini is maybe trying to change the focus to try and score more goals, and they definitely look more threatening going forward. But in this game, it bit them in the arse because they were not very good at the back, and they conceded 3 goals in this game. Trying to fight back, they brought it to 3-2, but couldn't fight back all the way. And then Villarreal, I believe. Oh, what did Villarreal? Oh, that's how
They lost
forgettable.
2-1.
They did lose 2-1 to Sevilla because that
Yeah.
place is a cauldron at the moment. But they're riding the wave of a new manager who has everyone on the same page in Mendilibar. All the players have been just saying since he came in, what he's done that's not special, but it was needed was just simplify everything, and everyone knows what they're doing now. You can see how Sampaoli maybe doesn't bring that same energy. And now, like this team, let's not forget this was a team who finished third in La Liga with I think the equal best defensive record last season. And if I want to prove my point about those defensive queens on the chessboard anymore, they lost both their centre backs in the summer in Jules Koundé and Diego Carlos, and it's no wonder they've been unreliable this season, Sevilla. But they're coming back to at least some sort of momentum, and they're able to beat Villarreal. I hate to do this to you, but Pepe Reina, you're not the answer. You can't. You at your age, you cannot be playing in goal for a team that want to finish top four in La Liga. I don't know how Villarreal have allowed this situation to come up. I don't know why they let Geronimo Rulli. I think he might be at Ajax on loan. So I don't know what's happened there, but I don't know why he's not their goalkeeper right now. And yeah, it looks like it's Sociedad's after this weekend. And I thought they were the best out of those teams to do it. Only really big. Well, Villarreal are just soft at the moment. They're just a pretty soft team. You can see under Setien they want to do all these things about possession style and going forward, and that's all admirable, and they have the players to do it. But sometimes they overplay it at the back. Sometimes they just concede stupid chances. Peppereira's a big culprit of it, and yeah, they're a team who don't have that resilience, and I think Sociedad do somewhat have that resilience. I would say Betis most weekends do, but like I said, they're trying to change the balance to score more goals because Pellegrini obviously knew that they needed to score more goals to finish top four, and yeah, it bit them on the arse. So Sociedad really strong position, and the marquee game was Atletico Barcelona, and there was no stakes on it. And I'll give you one guess at what the result in this game at the new camp was.
I already had a look.
Think about the season. Think about the season that particularly Barca have had.
It was 1-0. And it
1-0.
doesn't shock me.
1-0,
It
of
doesn't
course it
shock
was.
me.
Of course, it doesn't shock you at all. 1-0 Barcelona at the new camp. What's new? They don't concede goals. Even though the opposition, you could tell Antoine Griezmann was up for this game, and he nearly scored in the first minute, hit the underside of the crossbar. But that's what's happened for Barcelona this season. If players and teams and even players as good as Antoine Griezmann, and it would have been a really nice goal. It wasn't really a miss. It would have been a beauty if he got it in, but that's just what happens. Even players like Antoine Griezmann can't score at the new camp this season. Only Vinny from that crazy deflection. Well, it wasn't Vinny. It was Ronald Araujo own goal. That crazy deflection. That's the only goal Barcelona have conceded in open play at the new camp this season. That is staggering. How the hell has that happened? How the hell has that happened? Because this Barcelona team they're not that. They're good. They're really good, like, defensively, but they're not that.
Do you? There's 8 games left. Do you think they'll get into double digits goals conceded?
Yeah, they have to. They have to concede at least one more for the rest of the season.
They're on 9 at the moment. I
don't know. I'll give you a better.
You know what though? Like,
all right,
hang on, just before you go on, in the change rooms, I imagine that there's like sort of targets or goals for the season, maybe like mini targets. Like, you reckon Xavi's just put up there like eight games left, concede 0 goals, stay under double digits. You reckon he's just like put that one there just to like reinforce it?
That would be incredible.
Like, it's not an important one, but it's just one to aspire to, like just like a side goal sort of thing.
That would be one of the more unbelievable records of my lifetime. The one that always stands out, I can't remember how many. I think he got to 122. Is Mourinho's home league game unbeaten streak. That's the one that instantly stands out. Chelsea that season, that first season under him, I think conceded only 15 goals all season. You've got to think Barca are going to concede less. Now, this La Liga this season, there hasn't been many goals. In front of goal, it has been sorely lacking, and I think Barca only conceding 9 goals says that, because while I think they have maybe the best goalkeeper in the world on form, and they have one of those queens on the chessboard in Ronald Araujo, who, let's not forget, hasn't been fit all season. So they've been using him they've been without him for a little bit, and that's why I think Ter Stegen needs to be bumped up for somewhat carrying that record during that time. But 9 goals so far, I've got to think that they'll. But if I gave you an over under of 8 games left, 12.5, what would you take? They'll concede 12 or less, or 13 or more.
I need to see who they're playing, like in their fixtures. So
I think they still have Sociedad at one point, but I think that's the only tough game, and that's at the new camp.
Vallecano away, Betis at home, Osasuna at home, Espanyol away, Sociedad at home, Valladolid away, Mallorca at home, Celta Vigo away. I don't know, like...
I might go over. I might go 13 plus.
Yeah, because Betis they got goals in them. Sociedad have goals in them. Espanyol because
but
it's
at the Newcastle.
but Espanyol because it's a
the
derby.
Other games, sorry.
Espanyol because it's a derby. Like that one could have goals in it, and red cards potentially.
Yeah, of course. I'm looking at even Rayo this weekend away. That's a tough place to go. I think they might concede one at least there. And I'm expecting motivation to maybe wane a little bit. Defending is hard work and keep it that way. I guess that's their target probably for the rest of the season. No, it's incredible that they've only conceded 9 goals. And to think I didn't think to go under 10 would just be incredible. I hope they don't. I don't think this team should be thought of in that light. I've got to say, I don't think they've been that good. See, the Chelsea 04-05 team, if they conceded under 10 goals, I'd be like, yeah, that's warranted. That's something awesome. And they only got to 15. 15 is pretty incredible in itself. But if this team ends on 9, I'll be like, no, they're good. But we're back.
Oh, who knows? Like, if this was 5 games left, I'd probably go, yeah, I think they could do it. Like if there was 18 teams in the league.
Yeah.
But yeah, with eight games left, I think they'll definitely concede at least one more.
Yeah, I've got to think that.
Yeah.
And do you want to take us to the final topic?
Yeah, let's move back to the Premier League, and there's a big. I wouldn't say
big.
There's a.
Just a little bit. A little big.
I wouldn't say it's a title decider. But I think it is for City. If they win, then it's a title decider.
Yeah. Do you think
But
you're done if City win this game?
I think Arsenal's finishing second if City win.
Wow, you've just ratcheted it up even. But thinking about it, I was gonna go there. I was gonna say it could. Yeah, I don't know. Because City's fixtures are notoriously better, aren't they, on the run-in?
Let's have a look. Table, City.
Although you have Chelsea as a rebound if you do lose, so
yeah,
that's a nice one to have.
But yeah, so City have us. They have Fulham away, West Ham at home, Leeds at home, Everton away, Chelsea at home, Brighton away, Brentford away.
There's one.
Brighton and Brentford, but Brentford's sort of fallen off a little bit. But Brentford at home could potentially be a draw. Yeah. I don't know, man. And maybe because that Goodison Park one is right in between the 2 Real Madrid fixtures, maybe that could be a potential draw.
Yeah, that was one I was instantly underlining, saying I think maybe they could drop points there.
Yeah,
But I think you're on the right track, because I think if City win it, it's a bigger step towards the title than Arsenal winning this game, just because of what we started the pod on, that looming trip to St James's Park.
Yeah, that too.
And you've after this weekend, you've got to feel a bit more. I know you can't look that far ahead because this game is the game we got to look at, but you've got to be feeling some trepidation of going to there, even if you win this game at the Etihad. But if you lose this game at the Etihad, yeah, wow, yeah, it's 90. It's job 94% done for Manchester City if they win this game. They're there. They're
yeah.
nearly there. They're right there. They're touching it. They're licking it.
Because the thing is, like, if City win that game, that takes them to 73 points with 2 games in hand over us. So they're 2 points behind with 2 games
What are you
in
on?
hand.
70.
75.
How many points? Yeah, 75. Yeah.
Man, I can't believe that, though. Like, 3 draws in a row, and except for the Southampton game, in all the game, like, in those other 2 games, we were winning 2-0. Oh, yeah. Like, talk about shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah. Look, 6%, even if Arsenal lose this game. And in the game itself, which I guess we probably need to touch on, well, I'll do the bigger picture stuff, go into the game, but I'd still give Arsenal 6% because you think, will City run the slate and win every game? I can't see that happening because of the Champions League focus. Everton was one we underlined. You got to think maybe they'll at least draw one of those other games somewhere along the way. But the thing is, then Arsenal need to be perfect. And to be fair, I might even bump it up to 8%. But City are only 92% there if they win, because Arsenal, I think, have earned that 2% in the way they've played, even in these 3 draws, while being maybe a bit fragile, conceding way too many goals.
Yeah.
Must be said. But even in the 3 draws, they showed, at least for fairly large parts of the game, long enough of the game, of why they are where they are this season. So I think they've earned the respect of getting an extra 2% to say that they might be able to run the slate from there on to the end of the season. Maybe you're hoping that Newcastle's position isn't as precarious. They've won their games going into that, and Tottenham have maybe lost another game, and they're very safe in top 4, so that maybe they drop off just enough so that St. James's Park isn't as fearful or as intimidating, should I say, when you go there. But that's the big one, and then you've got to think they can still run the slates in all the other games. So yeah, I'd still give them a chance if you lose this. It's as good as a 1 in 10 chance that you win the title from there, because that is a massive step forward if City win it, especially the way City are now, the reputation City have been given, and rightly so. They are 110%. I would say I'd go above and beyond to say that they deserve this reputation because of what this team has achieved in terms of the title races they've been in, the level of those title races, in terms of having to back it up from last season of going against Liverpool, scraping through that one by the skin of their teeth, and having to go the distance against this great.
Yeah, I'm losing you again. The internet's cutting out.
Having to refocus, remotivate. So
The internet's cutting out.
yeah, but having to the one red bar, it's killing me. How bad is it?
It's pretty bad. Yeah, it ain't good. It ain't good.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to do with it. You take us forward from that.
Look, I think from what I could gather from your point, like on the words that I could gather from you here and there, it's the fact that City have done this except for that one season where they finished. I guess you could say they had a bit of a rest season when Liverpool won the title, or ran away with the title. They've been hitting 90 plus points every single season, and it's been this core group of players, and they know how to do this title run-in. Yeah, it's scary. It wouldn't. Yeah, it wouldn't have been scary if Arsenal had picked up 9 points instead of 3 points in the last three fixtures. Then it would have been like, okay, we can afford to lose this game and still be in pole position to win the title. But considering now this is like our backs are up against the wall. And just trying to think let me just do some quick maths. If we win this game, then that will. If we win this game, then that will be 78 points. And then 2 games in hand for City. If City win those 2 games, then that's 2 points difference. If we win this game. If we lose this game,
If you should win.
hang on. If we lose this game, then that's 75-73. If City win their 2 games in hand, that will take them to 79. So it'll be a 4-point gap if we lose this game. And City obviously win their 2 games in hand. So
yeah, you'd have to be perfect from that point to have any chance. Arsenal would.
yeah, we pretty
So
much have to be perfect
let's talk-
from tomorrow night's game. Right? We have to be perfect. We have to win every single game from tomorrow night's game, I'd say.
Well, if you win tomorrow night's game,
We still need to be perfect because we're only 2 points ahead. If City don't drop
I
points.
think you can afford to come out of St James's Park with a draw. I think if you win tomorrow, a draw at St James's Park is good.
Nah, because goal difference.
I know that it pretty
Goal
much
difference
puts it
fucks
back.
us.
I know it pretty much puts it back in City's hands. But like I said, I still am not quite there where I think City are going to win every single one of those games. But it obviously puts the pressure on you to win every single one of those games to capitalise on that. And it obviously gives City the chance to win it by winning every single game. So, and like, I wouldn't put that past City either. I don't think they will, but would I be shocked if they did? Absolutely not, because this is what they do. And this is what they do when they start to believe, particularly in their defensive selves. So I think it's time that we talked about the actual game itself to finish off. And let's put percentage chances on the scenarios we've just said. Now, what percentage chance do you give Arsenal to win the game? What percentage chance do you think it'll be a draw? And what percentage chance do you think it'll be City's?
Arsenal to win.
We
See,
get some drum roll here.
here's the thing. Like, you can go one of 2 ways here. Like, Arsenal know that their back's literally against the wall in this game, so they know that they know they can't draw. A draw isn't. It's like a draw would have been a fine result had we at least have won 2 of those 3 games that we drew. We can't afford a draw, so we can our only option is to go out there and win. I've seen.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. The draw keeps it at 5 points with City having 2 games in hand, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's not the worst play. That's not the worst position to be in after going to the Etihad. Are you saying if I gave you a draw right now, you wouldn't take it? You'd roll the dice and see, can we win or can we lose?
I'd roll the dice.
Whoa, you're a gambler. I'd probably take the draw, honestly. Going to the Etihad, it's like, all right, we're still right in this thing. I know it ramps up the pressure on that St. James's Park game. I don't know. It's just which one's the more formidable? I guess that's the question. So which one is the more formidable game? Do you think it's going to St. James's? Do you think it's this game at the Etihad?
I think.
It's got to be.
I honestly think it's this Etihad game. We need to go there and win.
Yeah.
Because if we don't win,
I'm saying I think.
I think that St. James Park game is like it's not as important. But if we win, then that makes the next it will start to put equal importance on the next fixture and the next fixture and the next fixture because I still think we need to be perfect.
Well, no, that's what I'm going to say. If you don't win but you draw this Etihad game, then yes, St. James's Park is the most important. But why I would like that scenario if I was an Arsenal fan, I think we got a better chance of winning at St James's Park than the Etihad, and that's why I'm
I
saying
think it's
I would
equal.
take the point from this game.
I honestly think it's equal.
I don't think it's equal. I think it's close because of what we said about St James's Park and Newcastle this season, but Man City are a different quality of football team. So I know the atmosphere, I think at St James is probably a little better. I think the atmosphere at the Etihad will be fantastic, by the way, tomorrow. Tomorrow night for you? I think so.
Tomorrow night, yeah.
Yeah. But I think because Arsenal are a better quality football side, it gives them a better chance at St James's Park. So that's why me personally, as an Arsenal fan, if you gave me a draw right now, I'd take it. I would take it from the Etihad. Walking out of there with a point in your hand, you didn't lose ground to City, you didn't gain ground on them. I would take that scenario to have to go to St James's Park and have to win, rather than trying to win at the Etihad. It's just, I think it's a tougher test.
No, in all honesty, I'd rather go out there and win and put the
Well, of course.
no, but take the initiative and put it back into our hands.
So you're saying tactically, if we look at this game, the game plan should not be to play for a draw.
No, I don't think so. But like that doesn't mean like we go gun ho and go a 3-1-6 like a Tuchel.
That was my next question. What does that game plan look to? What is the best way of getting a win out of this game going to the Etihad?
You know what? Here's the thing. You know how I remember the same fixture, but at the Emirates in the second half. In the first half, I reckon we were all over them. In the second half, I said that I thought that the Arsenal players got a little bit surprised by the fact that City started to
lowered the mask.
Yeah,
they went into the anti-football. They went into the dark stuff.
They sort of they didn't sit back in a low block. They sat back in a high block. So like they basically they set up their block, but then they weren't pressing our centre backs, but they were cutting off the passes into the midfield and into the forward areas. So our centre backs had no options, and except to pass it sideways, really. So I think that caught him off guard. I think Arteta, I think, was expecting that sort of style from City or from Pep. And now I think because they know how to play against the press, and now I think they'll know how to play against this as well. So they'll know, unless Pep has some other completely different tactic that he's come up with, I think Arsenal will be more ready and better equipped. The only thing is now, it's that subconscious holding factor. That's a little bit of a question mark, or maybe even a potentially big question mark, because Haaland might put himself right up against Holding. But however, Holding did sort of hold his own in the FA Cup game.
This is different level to that game. This is different stakes.
But he did end up picking up a yellow card in that first game, after about 40 minutes.
That's a scary one. But
yeah,
I get that psychological fact, but I'll push back a little bit on the footballing point, because you talk about more well equipped. Well, I don't think Pep's going to catch him off guard, but what I do think has changed since that game, City is just so much better than they were going into that game. In the footballing sense, and particularly in the pressing sense. So I think Pep is going to trust his guys at home to go out there and press Arsenal and press them in the new way. Well, not the new way. It was how they were doing it last season, but in the way that they've refound. They've refound their pressing game. This is why Manchester City look like a really, really good team again, because their pressing game, their game off the second balls, their game even in transition, although I think teams should put them in transitional moments more often, but it's just gone to the next level. They were sort of cruising in that middle part of the season, and now they're ready to take that part to the next level. And especially at home, I've got to expect that they'll come out with that game plan. And to your point, the Holding matchup scares you from against Haaland, but the holding matchup scares you probably with the ball as well. So under that duress that Manchester City are going to put you under, with that refound pressing, I don't think it will be like the Emirates tie at all, the reverse fixture. I really think Man City have a better belief in themselves, and I think Pep has a better belief in Manchester City going out to dominate games. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal will be blown away by that, but I am worried with no Saliba. No Saliba is a shot through the heart. I can't believe we're watching this game without Arsenal's best centre back playing. It's like
That
Victor
Queen.
Osimhen missing the without the Queen on the chessboard. It's like Osimhen missing that quarterfinal first leg against Milan. It's a killer. Come on, we want to watch the best players in these games, but the footballing gods have forsaken us. But, yeah, so Arsenal, they're not going to change the way they play, I don't think. Arsenal are going to play how they play. I think they need
I don't
to
think there's
play
any
how
change.
they play in terms of... Yeah, in
But
terms of
you know what though?
playing out from the back, they need to rely on that because,
You know what though? The one. All right, so I know we're missing Saliba this game, but you know who's going to play, who didn't play in that first game, Jesus. So that could be interesting. That there's going to be more questions there in the front areas than what there was when we had Nketiah playing there.
that has to be a strength for Arsenal. That the counter press, the high press, they have to put a lot of pressure on those four centre backs that City are going to play, because they do play four centre backs, and you've got to think that if you're a good pressing team, if you're a good counter pressing team, you can disrupt those players in possession of the ball. You know what I'm going to say? They have to find a way to target John Stones when he goes into midfield, if he goes into midfield. Because I must say, against Leicester, Pep did not choose. But I think the thing that I'm realising is that Pep puts Stones into midfield when they're playing out from their own pretty much defensive half, maybe defensive third. That's what he likes to do to disrupt the opposition's pressing patterns. I think Arsenal need to target that, and that's why I say high press and counter press. They need to play incisively past the Manchester City press. That is a big... I think both teams' presses can see advantages in there and can see ways to hurt the opposition. So I expect it to not be a gung-ho game, because these teams always, given that Pep and Pep's disciple Arteta are in charge of these two teams, they always have great structures behind the ball, even if they're going hell for leather and trying to win the ball back or create chances. So, man, I think we all get... I don't know, I can't see this one being cagey. I think it will be. City had to make the Emirates game cagey, but I don't think it's in Arsenal's best interest to make this game cagey. So I expect to see a really high intensity, high quality game of football here. This has all the makings for a really good one. Obviously, I'm not breaking.
Yeah.
Oh, you are so serious this whole segment. Your brow is so far.
I don't know, man.
This is an intense game. I can feel it, man. It's exuding off the screen.
But I'm just recalling as well, like, the fact that we made two egregious mistakes that allowed City to take the lead against us twice. Because I think that third goal where De Bruyne broke through, I think that was already at 2-1, I think.
Yeah,
from memory.
You're asking too much from me.
Yeah, look, from memory, I think that might have already been 2-1, where after... So, like, the first goal was that mistake from Tomiyasu, where he plays with his weaker foot, he plays a waist-high ball, tries to play a waist-high ball back to Ramsdale, and the second one was, the Gabriel back pass to... I don't know who it was to. I can't really remember. But yeah, if we can eliminate those mistakes, I can see us walking away with a win.
Yep. So back to the original question to finish it off. After we've been through, have we touched on everything we needed to in terms of the game? Any other matchups that we need to pinpoint? Obviously, Saka up against Ake, especially I think Ake might be the only City player who's doubtful because they have a remarkable bill of health at the moment. But he might be the only. So it might be Laporte. Either way, you've got to see that as an advantage. Martinelli up against. Well, that's a question. Is it Kyle Walker in this game? Does he think he needs Kyle Walker to go up against Martinelli, or does he trust Akanji, or does he put Stones out there? That's interesting. So it'll be interesting to see what Pep does with the matchups against Arsenal's two most threatening attacking players. I wouldn't say best because Erdegaard's really good as well. But in terms of the pace and the directness of Saka and Martinelli, you've got to be scared of those guys first and foremost, I feel. So yeah,
I'm also not sure about Zinchenko and Xhaka because I think Xhaka. I don't think he was even on the bench against Southampton. Let me just check. I'm not sure if he was just given a full rest or. Zinchenko did play against Southampton, but he didn't play against West Ham.
He did, of course.
So
they need Zinchenko.
Xhaka did not play against. He wasn't even on the bench against Southampton.
So there you go. We'll see. We'll see on that as well. But yeah, I think we've touched on everything in the match. So the last question will be the percentage chances. What percentage for an Arsenal win, a City win, or a draw?
Maybe go 30, 30, 40.
30 Arsenal win, 30 draw, 40 City win?
Yeah, I think so.
I might lower Arsenal's just a bit, but extend it into the draw. I think 40% for a City win is fair. So maybe 25, 35.
Yeah, I was thinking 40. I was thinking somewhere between 25 and 30. I went for a little bit of the higher end because I got belief.
Yeah. One in four ain't bad. 1 in 4 chance isn't too bad. It's like a Macca's Monopoly game for, I don't know, one of those free meals or something. A 1 in 4 chance wins. So
yeah.
I'll take those odds. That's all right.
But I want. You know what else I've noticed? I don't want to jinx it, but we don't seem to play that well for night games.
Oh no, the gremlins enter you and you're just not at it. The night gremlins.
From what I've noticed, like Arteta doesn't have a good record and doesn't have necessarily. He doesn't have. I don't think he has a great record in Europe. Or even a good record, to be honest. Like he gets out of the group stages of the Europa League. Like, okay, that's to be expected. And then just like night games in the league, we don't really necessarily seem to win a lot of them. It'd be interesting to see the stats
Friday night
of them.
Against Southampton wasn't a good night.
Yeah,
so.
It would be interesting to see the stats behind that because like Crystal Palace, the first game of the season, I think that was a Friday night as well. We did win that. West Ham at home was a night game. We won that. I think there might have been 1 or 2 other games that like we drew that were night games. This last Liverpool one at Anfield, that was like an evening game. It was like a 5:30 kickoff.
Evening, yeah.
City FA Cup, and City League at home. I think they were both night games. So
yeah, I think you're right. Or the FA Cup maybe an evening, but
the FA Cup.
I don't know. This night is not like those nights. The stakes on this night are. The lights could not be brighter on this game. Here we go. Here we go. Oh.
Yeah. Well, let's
let's
keep our fingers crossed for an Arsenal win to at least make the run in for the league interesting. Because if City win, I think they're running away with it.
Yeah, I'm a little less interested, but I'm still interested if City win. I don't think it's completely done. But we'll see. We'll see. I hope at least a draw. A draw is still the same amount of interest as we have right now, which for me is still very interesting.
Yeah. So, we need
but a good game. That's what we need. We need a good game. We need a game worthy of Arsenal and this Manchester City, who have refound their form.
So. I think the 2 games that they had this season have been pretty worthy.
Yeah, but the stakes in particular, especially that other league game, because City were poor in that game, but
yeah, and they still managed.
But in terms of what they did to win it, that was storyline worthy. I thought.
I think that was our first home loss, and I think our only home loss as well this season.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I think
You haven't lost
it
many
was.
in the league this season. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Arsenal are a very good team.
Let me just
Let's not
have
forget that.
a quick look. We have 3 losses. Yes, that's United, City, and Everton. Yeah, so that's our only home loss this season. Fucking City. All right. Well, look, we'll wrap it up there. Where I think everyone is hoping for, besides Tottenham fans and City fans. I think everyone is on Arsenal's side, because I think they're probably sick of City winning the league.
Our dear friend Mattis is not
Yeah, but that's
on
because
Arsenal's side.
he has some kind of personal vendetta against Arteta. So that's a
Yeah,
completely different.
even I've been able to put that one aside for this season.
Yeah, like, and they both share the same sort of Latino blood, but I guess Matisse is a little bit more Italian based than Spanish based. But still, he's against a fellow, I don't know, ancestor, ancestral related person.
Yeah, we're all descendants of Genghis Khan. Isn't that what you told us last week?
Well, 16 million of us are. Actually, hang on. You know what though? The Mongol Empire. I think they got to. I think they might have got to Paris. So the Spanish might not have any Genghis Khan, but me and you, we might be related.
Although, well, I think I can travel from Paris to Spain. I think I can quite easily get there, given how close everything in Europe is.
Yeah, true, but still, like, considering they got to, like, I can't remember whether they got to Paris or not, but they definitely got to, like, Austria and all those parts. Anyway, maybe we'll cover that. Maybe I'll refresh on my history and we'll cover that in the intro of the next pod. But
You should do a spin-off pod for that one.
Yeah, we'll start getting into history style pods. But yeah, Caleb, I think, yeah, we're both hoping for an Arsenal win, just to make it more interesting than what it would be if Arsenal lost. And yeah, to everyone that's stuck around for the last hour and 42 minutes, like, subscribe, comment, whether you agree, disagree, all that stuff. Whether you just show a little love, show a little bit of support, and thanks for coming, and bye for now.